Testing 1 2 1 2. Welcome everyone. Let me just do a quick sound check into the room. We'll also just make sure we've got good volume and the pitch is coming through nice and clear. So I hope you had a fantastic weekend. Let's do a quick sound check, and picture and sound are good, hopefully. So welcome everyone. Have a interesting stuff tonight to show you and to share with you. I'm going to basically, for those of you who are here in the room, it'll be good because you can get the email straight away. So I've got an all systems update to send out to you, so an ELD. I'll take you through that tonight. So basically, Mike and I and another coder have been doing, or are doing, kind of once a month, like a coding day, a development day, and I spoke about it last week. So I'm going to take you through what we finished today, or finished on Monday, and we'll be sending out today, and some of the stuff that we've got that we'll be sending out this week. So let's jump in and have a look at what we have. So in the email I sent out, let me just grab that list. Some of the things that I had in there, and I'll just before I jump in here, I'll just go through our agenda tonight. We're going to have a look at some of the, we'll do a little bit of a preview of our best system this week and what we're tracking that's going really well. We're going to do a bit of a members update with our releases. So we'll go through the systems that we're releasing as well as the indicators. So that'll be the VWAP. We have the weekly pivot indicators, the inside bar strategy, outside bar strategy, shave bar strategy. I've got an updated Renko hybrid trend strategy to send you, and then we have the continuation trader as well. So I'll be sending that out as in a new systems update ELD, so you'll be able to download that to TradeStation. Some of these systems are fairly basic and fairly easy, and there'll be an addition to these strategies as well. So I'll talk to you about that as we roll through, and then we'll have a quick look at our top 10 if time permits. Otherwise, I'll send out an update on that after the session. So that's the plan for tonight. And the other thing I wanted to add in here, which I haven't really got in my list here, but I wanted to take you through, was the Breakout Trader, because that's of the 4 new strategies that come under the Renko systems, the Renko hybrid. The Breakout is one that I'm really liking. So I like the continuation trader as well, but I want to take you through the Breakout as well, just to get you into looking at the Breakout Trader and kind of getting a feel for that particular strategy. So let me just move that over. So that's the start of my introduction. Any questions through the presentation, let me know. Happy to answer those. I have a couple of other systems that I'm going to be sending out this week, so there'll be the finalised version of the pin bar reversal, or not finalised, but as we have it. So that'll be going out this week for TradeStation, and I'll be sending out version 4 of the pin bar reversal for MT4 as well. So there's a couple of updates there too. So let's jump in and have a look at what we've got. So the first thing we want to do is just go through this ELD, and I'm going to grab that ELD. Let me just do that now, and I'm going to take you through importing the ELD, because obviously that's what you're going to be doing. Not that anybody here should really have any trouble doing that. Everybody should be fairly au fait with importing the ELD. So it's going to come out as the GMT New Systems the 5th of October 2016. So moving forward, any strategy that we've got, any system, you'll see it as that. It'll give you that list there, GMT New Systems, and that's what you'll use. So let me just move that over for a second. And so if I go File, Import Easy Language, I'll go to my ELDs, go Browse. I'm going to grab that file. There it is there. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to start importing the ELD. Now, there's a number of functions that come with the LD, but there's also indicators, paint bar, and a strategy. So let's have a look at what's in there. This is what you'll be downloading in this version. So anything that we send out going forward now will be the new systems. It'll be under new systems, and obviously if most of you here are Pro Trader Platinum members or members, so you'll download the systems and they'll work and they'll keep working. If you're not a current member or not a member, then you'll have the systems for about 5 days and then they'll just switch off. So it's aligned with your membership status, obviously. And if you're going through the Pro Trader program and you're working your way through that first 12 months, then you'll be able to download those systems. So let's have a look at what we've got. We have the continuation trader. That's our Renko hybrid strategy. So that I'm going to take you through just a bit of a refresher tonight. We have GMT divergence. So we've added, that's a function within our strategy. So we've made some adjustments to the divergence and the way we use that. Not really anything unusual, but just cleaning that up a little bit. We have an inside bar, paint bar, so that's going to be an indicator that you can basically put on your charts that will plot the inside bar with your strategy. We've got the inside bar strategy, which is a very basic version of the inside bar. It doesn't have all the entry filters, it just has the very basic setups. So what you're getting tonight is something that's very easy. Now you can add, if I've got just the entry of the inside bar, what can I add to that will help with my strategy development and putting together a high performance system? What can I add to my entry ELD that might help me? It'll have basic stops in it, but we can also add in our GMT exits, can't we? So we can add the GMT exits in, and that really does give us a lot more to use and look at. We've got our GMT key level, that's a function, so there's just a slight update to that. We have the GMT outside bar. Now, when I send this email out, I'll be sending the basic walkthrough or the basic rules for these indicators. But remember, this is the first, your first look at the inside outside bar, shave bar strategy. On top of that, my next version will be all of the entry filters, and you can imagine we have a lot of entry filters. I'll take you through some of those tonight, but that's going to really kind of help build that strategy up. We have the shave bar, paint bar, so that's another indicator. So each of the strategies has an indicator as well. We have the GMT ST, that's just one of the functions we have with our strategy. Then we've got the GMT V2 Renko trend. Gary, I have put in the 1s and 0s for the days of the week, so that'll definitely help. That was a great suggestion, so I've added that to the strategy, and there's a couple of other additional things added in there as well, so that should really help kick things along a bit. Then we've got our normal support resistance, and then a couple of the newer things here. We've got our VWAP. So for those of you who are interested in looking at volume weighted price, and you're just looking at obviously using that particular indicator as an opportunity for identifying where value is in the market, the volume weighted average price is just a really good little indicator for that. So I've added that indicator in there as well, and then as well as the weekly pivots, GMT weekly pivots, to plot where support resistance is, and that lines up with your strategy. So a lot of the strategies now have the weekly pivots built in, and that way if you're tracking or doing your back testing or your testing, or you're doing you're looking at potential trade opportunities, then having the weekly pivots on there is kind of vital if you're running your inputs in relation to weekly pivots. We've got the higher time frame close, we've got the tick, and then we've got the VWAP. So we've got some really good little additions to both our indicator library and our system library. This is just the start of what we've got coming. We have a lot of strategies we're going to be releasing over the next week or two, so it's going to be quite a very busy month for us, October, and I'm looking forward to getting all of this information out to you. So what I want to do tonight is I just want to give you a bit of a walkthrough of each of the things that we're looking at, That way, when you get the strategy, and you'll get some workspaces in the coming days. So the next couple of days, we'll optimize and put together some high performance workspaces, so you've got a good platform to work from. But in the meantime, feel free to play with the strategy yourself. As I said, most of you would have seen the systems in the training, and I'm going to be taking you through in a little bit more detail today anyway. So that's how you import it. You're just going to hit finish. That function's going to go okay, yes to all, and then that'll go through the process of updating all of those strategies and studies, and that will push that information into your platform, and then you should be good to go from there. So it'll take a couple of minutes to basically update all of the strategies. Once you have them in there, you'll be able to go into your either your format strategy or your analysis technique and pull down an indicator or a system depending on what you're up to at the time. So while we wait for that to occur, any questions before we push on to go through each one of our systems and our indicators? Because remember that one thing I wanted to do as part of the releasing the systems is make sure that you had all of the indicators that went with that system. So making sure that you weren't kind of hamstrung at all through that process. So we'll just wait for a minute or two just for this to do its thing, and then we'll be right to go. So one of the things that I wanted to take you through tonight, which I'm going to do before I jump into each of the systems and the strategies, is I want to walk you through the Breakout Trader. So yes, it is, John. It's been included. I've included the weekly pivot. I've included the parabolic SAR. So they're in there. I've included the days of the week, times of the day, days of the week specifically into the pinback reversal as well. So that will make a significant difference, I would say. So guys, I'm going to take you through quickly one system that we haven't sent out yet, but I want to just get a bit of a quick update training review on the Breakout Trader, because this is one that I really like. I like the concept of this system, and it adds another element. And as I transition into showing you the continuation trader, you'll see how they kind of work together. So what we're looking for in any type of trade that we're looking to take, we're looking for, in most of the trades that we've got with our strategies, we actually have an input which we call the minimum price move. Minimum price move requires us to nominate a price value for us to see occur between our pivots before we particularly take a trade, because that's where we're wanting to see range, isn't it? We want to see some volatility, some range, some movement in the market. So with our Breakout Trader, we don't really want to see that, do we yet? What do we want to see? We want to see compression before we take a trade on the Breakout Trader. So what we're looking for is we're looking for this minimum price move. Really looking for compressed range. So one of the inputs you're going to have, or you have in the strategy, is what we call the maximum price move before you look to take a trade. So I've nominated 60 points here. You can see it here on crude oil. It's got a 60-point range. So for us to even look at taking a trade, the prerequisite for this is we have to be trading within a 60-point range. And you can see here we're not, are we? So would we couldn't take a trade here because the price has moved outside of 60. It's moved 60 points or better. So at no point, remember this, with our strategy, it's a rolling strategy. The algo works that, well, as we get a definite range of 60 points, then we're going to start to see our algo turn on and start calculating whether we have a trade or not. Now, what determines the range is obviously our support resistance. So straight away here we look to see, okay, we're starting to get into that range, and then we start pushing in and we've got our support resistance. So what that allows us to then do is, alright, say we have our range. The other thing we're looking for is we're looking for price to set up multiple support resistance levels, and we have to have traded inside of our zone as well. So this zone, the traders can set the zone. I spoke about this last week. It's either you're nominating whether it's plus 20, negative 20, plus 40, negative 40 on the MACD. That's your zone. So we need to see 1, 2, 3 or 4, depending on how many you want. You might want 5 of these support resistance to set up. You want 4. You can optimize on that. I've selected 4 here. You want 4 of these support resistance to set up within this range, this 60-point range. And what it means is that, and you're looking at it over X number of bars back. So if I've added in 76 bars back, then that's my look back period for this to occur. And if that does qualify that I get in with this 60-point range and I've got X number of support and resistance pivots, whether it's 3 or 4, then I can start looking for a trade. The other thing I need to see is I need to have 3 or 4 of my green and red dots within the MACD plus or minus zone. So if I say, right, well, I want a plus or minus zone of 40. So that's telling me that the zone for price action is compressing. So I need to see my MACD dots go red to green to red to green to red to green at least 4 times to match my support resistance and be within this. They need to turn within this this zone here, and that occurs here. So I get a confirmation there. Now the other thing I need to see is once I've got that, I want to ideally see the MACD with turning from green to red inside of my Bollinger Bands. Why do you think I want the MACD inside of my Bollinger Bands? Between that, it doesn't have to be the entire support resistance, but it needs to be X number of times. It has to be within that support resistance. Oh, sorry, the upper band, lower band. Why am I looking for that? And ideally, the most recent. You want your most recent support resistance to be within these upper and lower bands. Why do you think I want that? What do the Bollinger Bands bring us? What's the great thing about the Bollinger Bands? This is a breakout strategy, so we're looking for what? No, okay, so yeah, fantastic, awesome. All right, so we want to see congestion. We want to see that really tight range. The tighter the bands, the better. We want to see that happen before we break out. So what happens then is, as what's effectively happening is we're getting this real tight price action, and we need to see the breakout. So the tighter the bands, the better, and we're marking these now. These basically are becoming support resistance, aren't they? So once they set up, then we need a turn bar before we take the trade. So what we're looking for, once we get this price action within our range, these turn bars, now I'll describe a turn bar because we've mentioned this before, but I'll just recap it. The turn bar is this: when you've got a run up of X number of bars, and then we get that first turn bar. So that's our turn bar. There's a turn bar there. Once we get our turn bar, support and resistance will generally print on a turn bar. And what happens is the most recent swing, high or low, that becomes our breakout point. So for us to take a trade entry, we need to clear that most recent swing high and swing low on a breakout. We don't have to clear this area here as such, like this upper area here, but we have to clear this upper or lower area. So that's what we're looking for. We need to have that occur. Now, what I've got, and I'll just show you that now. What I have is, let me just highlight that. our breakout entry is going to be the recent swing high and swing low. That's going to be our point of entry. Now what has to happen here is we need to break outside of these Bollinger Bands for us to take the trade. So we're not going to commit to the trade unless we've broken those Bollinger Bands, and we have to also be above the high or the low of that point. We can still be within our range, but we have to, number one, break out the Bollinger Bands, and number two, we need to break that recent swing high and swing low. Now what can happen here is, what do you think can happen with this type of entry? What do we think might happen with this type of entry? We can definitely get false breakouts, can't we? So there's two things that you can do with the breakout trade. You can, firstly, you can nominate to trade with the trend. So the option here would be, all right, I'm going to trade with the trend. So if that was the case, would you get this trend set up here as a breakout? Because my entry for this particular trade is there. So that's my trade entry there. So would we get that? Would we actually get that trade if we're trading with the trend? Would that trade set up for us? Because remember, we're using an entry filter to determine whether we get a trade. Would that trade set up for us? Now, remember, there's a couple of ways, particularly in the Renko hybrid, there's a couple of ways we're using to determine the trend. We can use the higher time frame filter, or we can use the 200 period moving average as our trend, or what determines our particular trend can be the 200 period moving average. So where are we within the 200 period moving average when we get into this particular trade here? We're below that 200, so that means we're taking along, we're actually trading against the trend, aren't we? So if we use that as a filter, we wouldn't get into the trade. If we didn't use that as a filter and we were just saying, right, it's a breakout trade, we're going to get longs and shorts regardless of the trend. A lot of the time price will move a certain distance and then you'll get congestion after. And what typically, when does this congestion typically occur? And when do breakouts generally occur? Particularly in the currency markets, but also in the commodity markets. When does this congestion occur? After what? You see it on the DAX all the time. You'll see it on crude, on gold. What do you typically or generally see? Yeah, trading range. You see at the end of a trend, you'll see a trading range. You'll see that end of the trend set up, and you're looking for that next stage. So what'll be interesting when you get your breakout trader, looking at your end of the trend setups, how often do you get that breakout, which is like a counter trend play? So what we're doing is we're giving ourselves every possibility here of getting that counter trend play by ideally analyzing the market, looking for congestion, looking for the breakout, making sure we trade with momentum, and making sure we've established that congestion and that we look to take that breakout where price breaks the swing high and swing low. And we've allowed 4 or 5 points of support resistance. That you're talking a fairly large cluster of support and resistance on a Renko chart. So once you've established that, you almost are looking for that breakout. So